Hello, it's LJPS and I'm back. It's been a fucking long time. It's been 2 months since I've last uploaded on this channel. My last video I made, like in general, was on TMM, and that was for Master of Puppets. That was uploaded 2 weeks ago. Either way, if you didn't know, this is season 2 TMM, and I'm gonna get back paying permanently if I keep on sitting like this. So fucking I'm moving here. It's a new era of LJPS season 2. I guess I am flipping off camera for this, but this has been written before the start of year 2 of TMM, and it is also the start of a new season on my channel for obvious reasons. If you go back and watch the old videos, the quality wasn't up to a high enough standard. I'm not really bothered about the video quality, it's more about the content in the videos which I'm bothered about. So that's what I'm here to try and improve upon in this season, kind of. But I'm mainly going to be doing discographies, and that's the main thing for me. Because I used to just pick an album, think, oh, that's a good album, oh, that's a bad album, that's mid. And I used to just think, oh, I'll talk about it in littlest detail as I possibly can. But what I was thinking is, why the fuck should I do that? Because it just wasn't good. If you go back and watch some of my old videos, my most recent one was rushed to fuck, and that was for Tetsuo Lost in a Dream. That was actually quite a good fucking EP as well. But what I'm going to be doing is artist discographies, and if they release music later, which with this band they will not, because the main singer died of... I'm going to stop talking now. The main singer has died. But if I missed out on anything, send it like someone just like leave a link in the comments or something, or just tell us in the comments and I'll try and find it. But I'll do part 2 of this video if, give or take, there's 2 or more albums. But today we're going to be talking about Primer 55, and I've started off with something relatively unknown. Obviously their first album was quite widely known in the nu metal community, but as a band as a whole, they're not exactly very popular. Like, for example, if I done Limp Bizkit, everyone fucking knows Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, everything. And either way, what I have planned in this is their 3 albums, which I'm not going to say the names of yet, their band formation history, and what the fan base thinks, because I have actually done a little bit of research and even asked some of the fan base, what is your opinions on these? And they didn't really give much detailed answers. A couple of them did, but I'm not gonna go over all of that and shit. And before I get into everything about the band, I just want to ask, please don't be a prick in the comments and say, oh, you're wrong, fucking cunt, you're wrong. Because that's just you being a prick, and you look like an arsehole of yourself arguing with a 15-year-old online. So either way, let's get into the band formation and history.
Formed in Memphis, Tennessee, Primer 55 is a nu metal band which, if I'm honest, didn't get much traction, with their biggest hit only having 15 million listens on Spotify. But, which, don't get me wrong, it's a lot, but also incomprehensibly small when compared to other bands in the nu metal genre, such as Korn and Slipknot. The band was formed by the guitarist Bobby Burns and vocalist Jason, as he was sick of the steel music scene filled with cover bands and death metal. They met when Jason was the opening act for Burns' old band, with Burns' heavy metal inspiring the guitar and Jason's hip hop helping the lyricism and vocals. They helped make the rap rock sound, and the bassist Mike Christopher and drummer Josh McLean completed the lineup. They got their first record deal in 1999 by releasing an EP, which would later turn into what we're going to listen to now, that being An Introduction to Mayhem.
Just to start off on this album, it has the feature from the original rap rock band, that being LJPS. What, you didn't expect that? Head PE? Who are Head PE? Heads of Planet Earth. But not just the full band, just the frontman, Jared Gomez, which in my opinion is a great way to start off a career and an album on the right note. Well, an introductory debut on the right note. The album overall has a pretty repetitive sound with not many standout tracks in my opinion. It's a rinse and repeat album and type of formula, which does work in their favour, with the first 6 tracks having 5 8s and 1 3. So sure, it's strong, but at the same time, when it's the same song recycled, it's going to get stale and boring, just like the original band scene in their hometown. But at the same time, Super Freak Love, probably one of my favourite songs on the album. It has a slightly different sound and a more catchy sound, but at the same time it's way too similar. There's difference within lyrics and slight structure changes, but overall it's not a good way to start your discography, especially when only half of it is available. So like, obviously, if you find a structure which works, you gotta rinse and repeat like Taylor Swift did, except that actually capitalised in her favour. Bitch. But obviously, once you find a formula which works and sounds good, which will get you fans, you're gonna use it over and over and over. Like, look what I try to do. Shit. I'm just like fucking... I'm like Primer 55. Oh! But, the title track has their style, but a different sound and guitar, making it a bit more standout compared to the rest. And the bridge in the middle is a nice change of pace. But overall, the song is an 8 out of 10. Same with Super Freak Love, if I remember correctly. And my favourite songs on the album are probably Dose and Super Freak Love, as he had a different style to the rest of the album, leaving me happy as I went through about 8 songs just before being able to hear something slightly different. And the album overall is a 7 due to the repetitiveness of some songs and the immense amount of interludes. And I understand it is a reissue, so don't get me wrong, you've got to have stuff to fill up the track list. But at the same time, with the immense amount of them, it's just not like, it just detriments the album in a bad way, in my opinion. And they're just, in some cases, they're downright terrible, and in other cases they're just annoying and you don't want to hear them. But the point was being there in the first place, in my opinion. But that's introduction to Mayhem. But before we move on to Family for Life, let's hear a bit more about the band. As there wasn't much to find about the band, this segment will be really short, but for other people who are doing the future, it will be fucking super long, considering the amount of albums he's released and fucking the amount of shit he's just done throughout his life, that crazy motherfucker. But either way, the band went on a hiatus in 2003, and Burns joined Soulfly, a really good band by the way, and Jason had a battle with drugs and alcohol addiction, leaving him in no shape to tour, in Burns' own words. They were formed to release Family for Life, but before we move on to that, Jason will be forced to exit the band due to poor performances and antics caused by drugs and alcohol abuse that would land him in rehab, which is really, really sad for the guy. He was replaced by Danny Polinsky, otherwise known as the DRP, or whatever the fuck that means. First performing at the Gathering of the Juggalos in 2008. Yes, we've skipped ahead probably way too much. Another album was in the works, but Burns fired all the band members before it could come to fruition. The band's social media at the time announced that Jason had returned, but they continued performing and recording with the DRP. Jumping ahead to 2018, Jason passes away from a long-fought battle with hepatitis C. And that's the whole band's timeline up to the day. Despite being relatively unknown, they have quite an extensive history, but at the same time, small compared to other people I've researched. In reference to a future video, I'm kind of going off the rails on a crazy train. Nigga, get off me, Ozzy Osbourne's withdrawals. And I did skip this out earlier, so sorry for not seeing. But Burns does have another band by the name of Murder the Flesh. Weird fucking name. But either way, our next album is the new release. And I kind of made a mistake earlier when I said Family for Life, which is after this one, so fuck you. But yeah, next up's the new release. So to start off, I would like to thank Jimmy Nana on Reddit. Weird fucking name. Cool dude though, for telling me about this album, as it's banned in my country on Spotify. But it's on YouTube, and I had a finished script before he told me this, but anyways, let's talk about why you're here for my favourites from this album, which are Texas and Lou Evil. But the album has such a distinct sound, it's really incredible. I haven't heard anything like it before or since. Like, since its creation, not since I heard the COD. But besides being relatively unknown besides from Introduction to Mayhem, it's really good. Especially the singer, who maybe Jason for this album, but either way, both the guitar and vocals are on point throughout the entire album. But sorry for not talking about this as much, because obviously I really just didn't know it was a thing. Like, I think the the fucking Wikipedia might have actually left it out, or I'm just not a good reader. Sorry, I've turned black and white on my phone, but I really hope that isn't the case for years. But either way, let's move on to Vin Diesel's favourite album, Family for Life. Family for Life starts out with a different sound compared to Introduction to Mayhem, and it really complements their respective abilities. I absolutely love the bluesy opening during the verses of Side to Side. That didn't make fucking sense at all. And the chorus, it goes to a really good new metal riff, or just metal riff in general. Guitar riff, I'll say that. You uncultured swat. I shouldn't offend guitar people. That's gonna annoy the piss out of me. Shut up. But let's get the fucking shit out of us. I'm not gonna be able to focus on the background. It's not gonna stop, I'm just gonna have to continue. But in my opinion, it starts out immediately on a better note compared to Introduction to Mayhem. As it progresses slowly, it gets more into the sound of Introduction to Mayhem, but with it overall having more refined sound compared to that. I'm not complaining, as they can change it up a bit after this. As this is a whopping 7 years after Introduction to Mayhem, and 6 years, if I remember correctly, after the new release. And it's just fucking mental to think of it like that. And despite this album only having 9 songs, I prefer it this way, as Introduction to Mayhem for me was way too cluttered. And not refined enough in my opinion. The last 3 songs on the album being acoustic was a nice change of pace, but at the same time it was weird. It starts off iffy, but then starts to get good at My Girl, and then gets more metal influenced by the end, and it still sounds quite good, which highlights and still sounds quite good. The highlights of the album are 100% Side to Side and This Life, because Side to Side has a different style and a more catchy sound, which I can easily get into compared to the graininess of the first album. And This Life, as it's not what I expected from the band at all, and it still managed to pull it off fairly well. Overall, the album for me is an 8 out of 10. But before we get into my opinion on where the album's placed, let's hear the fan base's quick opinion, which I collected over like 2 days or something. Fuck you all. So, as I said at the start, this is a new segment, which I'll be doing for all my discography videos. I'm going to go into subreddits and maybe even Facebook groups if there is any. And I want to ask the public's opinion. I got 3 responses, surprisingly. One from 13 Anana Joe, and the other one was from Dawson Crook. They both said they thought Introduction to Mayhem was a great album, one of them saying it's top 10 worthy, and Jimmy Nana, who told me about the new release, said it was his personal favourite. But let's hear, the most important fucker's thoughts. Me. So, I just want to quickly say the undeniably best was the new release, which was 13. No, that's definitely wrong. 23 years ago. Wow. It never really took off, but it's fucking great. But anyway, this is by far their greatest work, with a sound that hasn't really been utilised since the creation of this album, or before. And coming in at number 2, probably due to the lack of interludes, is Family for Life. I understand it's a lot of B-sides and just random tracks, but it still did sound really good. And this is obviously because of certain tracks which I've already spoke about, showing that, and still with acoustic tracks as well, which also sounded, depends which one you listen to first, good to bad really, bad to good, either way. It also has a more refined sound, and coming in 3rd is the most popular, that of course being Introduction to Mayhem, probably due to all the interludes and due to the less refined sound, making it sound clunky and just put together without rhyme or reason. I also understand that it's just a reissue, but there's still no need for that many interludes, man. Like, wow, it just fucks with us. Because there's a one at the end, right, which is 4 seconds long. Why the fuck did they need a 4-second long interview? Like, was it just to expand it? It's just pointless. But either way, what are you guys' thoughts and opinions on all this? I want to say why you think I'm wrong, I'm right, or just a bit off. But anyways, this has been me. See you guys soon, where we're doing massive discography, which I'm not going to tell you about. Oh, say yours, Paul.